July 6, 2024. Springfield, Illinois, 12:50 a.m. Sonya Massey heard something outside her house. Footsteps. Movement. Someone was out there. She was terrified. Alone. She grabbed her phone. Dialed 911. "I think someone's trying to break in." The dispatcher stayed calm. Help was coming. 2 sheriff's deputies. They'd be there soon. Just stay inside. Lock the doors. Sonya waited, watching through the window. Then she saw the lights, red and blue flashing in her driveway. Relief. The deputies would check everything, make sure she was safe. She opened the door when they knocked. Let them do their job. But in less than 10 minutes, Sonya Massey would be on her kitchen floor, shot in the face, dying. And one of those deputies would be the one who pulled the trigger. Before we continue, like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What happened in Sonya Massey's house will shake you. Springfield, Illinois, the state capital. Population 114,000. Historic city. Abraham Lincoln lived here. Tree-lined streets. Middle America. The kind of place where people raise families. Safe. Quiet. The kind of place where nothing bad is supposed to happen. Sonya Massey was 36 years old. Born February 12, 1988. Mother of 2. Beautiful smile. Kind heart. Everyone who knew her loved her. But Sonya had been struggling. Mental health issues. Anxiety. Paranoia sometimes. It wasn't constant. But when it came, it was hard. Made her see threats that weren't there. Her family knew. Her mother, Donna Massey, was especially worried. On July 5, 2024, the day before Sonya died, Donna made a difficult decision. She called 911. "My daughter is having a mental breakdown." She explained that Sonya wasn't thinking clearly, wasn't acting right, needed someone to check on her. The dispatcher listened, took notes, but then Donna said something else. Something that should have been noted, should have been flagged. She told the dispatcher, "I don't want you guys to hurt her." Think about that. A mother calling for help. And her biggest fear wasn't that her daughter might hurt herself or hurt someone else. It was that the police might hurt her daughter. This was a black mother in America who knew the statistics, who'd seen the news. Breonna Taylor, Tashiana Jefferson, Sandra Bland. Black women killed by police in their own homes. "Please don't hurt her," Donna begged. "She just needs help. She's not dangerous. She's just scared." The dispatcher assured Donna, said they'd send someone to check on Sonya. The call ended. The wellness check was logged in the system, documented, but there's no clear evidence anyone actually went to Sonya's house that day. The call was made. The concern was documented. And then nothing. The system noted it, filed it, moved on. 24 hours later, everything would change. July 6, 2024. Saturday night turning into Sunday morning. Most of Springfield was asleep. But inside Sonya Massey's house, there was no peace. Sonya was awake. Around 12:50 a.m., she heard something. Outside her house. Movement. Footsteps. Someone was out there. Her anxiety spiked. Her heart raced. Someone was trying to get in. She needed help. Sonya grabbed her phone, hands shaking, dialed 911. "There's someone outside my house. I think they're trying to break in." The dispatcher stayed calm. "Stay inside. Lock your doors. We're sending deputies right now." The call went out to Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. 2 deputies responded. Sean Grayson and Dawson Farley, both on patrol, both available. Deputy Grayson was 30 years old. He'd been with Sangamon County since May 2023, about 14 months. Before that, he served at Logan County Sheriff's Office. Before that, he served at Auburn Police. Before that, he also served at Verdon, Kincaid, Pawnee, 6 law enforcement agencies in 4 years. That's unusual. Very unusual. We'll come back to that. The deputies arrived at Sonya's house. Dark. After midnight. Modest single-story home. Lights on inside. They got out. Both had body cameras recording everything. They didn't go to the door first. checked the perimeter. Deputy Farley went left. Deputy Grayson went right. Flashlights scanning, looking for anyone hiding. They checked everything. Backyard, side yards, under windows, near doors, behind trees. Nothing. No one was there. No footprints. No broken windows. No signs anyone had tried to get in. They met at the front door. You see anything? Nothing. Same here. They knocked. Sheriff's Department. The door opened. Sonya stood there, tank top, exhausted, relieved. Deputy Farley spoke. Ma'am, we checked everything. Didn't see anyone. You're safe. Sonya nodded. Thank you. I'm sorry. I just heard something. It's okay. Better to call. This should have been the end. Call complete. Have a good night. Drive away. But Deputy Grayson wanted more. Can we come in? Need information for our report. Sonya said yes. Let them inside. Both deputies entered her home. Can I get your ID? Deputy Grayson asked. Sonya didn't have it. Went to look for it. The deputies waited. While waiting, Deputy Grayson noticed something. Pot on the stove. Steam rising. Water boiling. Ma'am, you've got a pot on the stove. Might want to take care of that. Sonya heard him. Came back. Still no ID. But she walked into the kitchen. Both deputies followed. Sonya picked up the pot. Hot water. Still boiling. The deputies stood across the counter. A few feet away. Nothing threatening. Just watching. And then Sonya said 5 words. She looked at Deputy Grayson and said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Deputy Grayson's entire demeanor changed. Instantly, his hand moved to his gun. His voice got loud, aggressive, threatening, and he said words that would be captured on body camera. Words that would shock the nation. I swear to God, I'll shoot you in your fucking face. A woman, in her own home, holding a pot of water, said a prayer, and a deputy threatened to shoot her, in her face. But what happened next was worse. So much worse. Deputy Sean Grayson just threatened to shoot Sonya Massey in her face. Over a pot of water. Over 5 words. But before we show you what happened next, you need to understand who this man was. Because what's about to happen, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a bad day. It was inevitable. Sean Patrick Grayson. Born November 30th, 1993. Verdun, Illinois. Small town. Population 3,000. Rural. Quiet. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone. Where most people never leave. But Grayson had plans. Bigger plans. May 2014. Grayson was 20 years old. He enlisted in the United States Army. Fort Riley, Kansas. Became a wheeled vehicle mechanic. Private first class. Nothing glamorous. But it was steady work. Paycheck. Benefits. Career. Or so it should have been. 1 year later, 2015, Grayson was arrested. DUI. Driving under the influence. He was 21 years old. Pulled over. Failed the sobriety test. Blood alcohol over the legal limit. Charged. Convicted. Pleaded guilty. The Army disciplined him, but let him continue serving. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone deserves a second chance. Right? Wrong. Because less than a year later, 2016, it happened again. Another DUI. Another arrest. Another conviction. Twice in 2 years. While serving in the military, the Army had seen enough. February 2016. Sean Grayson was discharged. Not honorably. For serious misconduct. The official term. Serious misconduct. Which means the Army determined his behavior was so bad, so reckless, so dangerous, they couldn't keep him, couldn't trust him, couldn't let him represent the United States military. Most people would see that as a wake-up call, a moment to change, get help, make better choices. But not Sean Grayson, because after being kicked out of the Army, after 2 DUI convictions, after a discharge for misconduct, Grayson decided to become a police officer. Think about that. A man who couldn't control his drinking, who got kicked out of the military, decided the next career move was law enforcement, where he'd carry a gun, have authority, make life or death decisions. And somehow the system said yes. August 2020. Pawnee Police Department hired him. Pawnee, Illinois. Tiny village. Population 2,600. Maybe 6 officers total. Small departments struggle to find applicants. Can't pay much, so they hire whoever applies. Even someone like Grayson. He worked there part-time. Then, in February 2021, got a second job. Kincaid Police Department. Population 1,400. Even smaller. He worked both jobs. Jumping between departments. Building experience. Or so it seemed. But something happened in Kincaid. Something bad. A man named Kyle Atkins was driving through town. Grayson pulled him over. Told Atkins there was a warrant for his arrest. Drug charges. Serious felonies. Atkins was confused. He didn't know about any warrant. But Grayson insisted. Arrested him. Recommended felony charges. The case went on for 2 years. Atkins hired a lawyer. Fought the charges. And eventually the truth came out. The warrant Grayson claimed existed never existed. There was no warrant. No evidence. Grayson made it up. Lied. Fabricated the whole thing. The case was dropped. But Grayson? No consequences. No discipline. Nothing. May 2021. Grayson left Kincaid. Not fired. Just moved on. To Verdun Police Department. His hometown. Part-time. $17.50 an hour. Worked there several months. Then left again. No clear reason. Just gone. August 2021. Auburn Police Department. Full-time position. Finally, Auburn was bigger. About 4,600 people. More structure. More oversight. Grayson disclosed his DUI convictions on his application. Told them everything. And they hired him anyway. He worked there about a year. Then May 2022, moved again. Logan County Sheriff's Office. Full-time deputy. Bigger agency. More pay. And this is where everything started falling apart. September 2022. For months after being hired, Grayson saw a woman in a pickup truck. She rolled through a stop sign. At least that's what he claimed. He tried to pull her over. She kept driving. So Grayson chased her. At 110 miles per hour. On rural roads. At night. Hit a deer during the chase. Damaged his squad car. His supervisors reviewed the dashcam footage. Compared it to Grayson's written report. Nothing matched. Details were wrong. Timings were off. He'd lied. Made things up. Violated department policy. Then came the complaints. A woman Grayson arrested filed a complaint. Said his behavior was inappropriate. Her fiancé, an inmate at the county jail, filed another one. Accused Grayson of abusing his power. Harassment. 2 complaints. 2 different people. Same officer. November 2022. Chief Deputy Nathan Miller called Grayson in. A meeting. Nearly 2 hours long. Audio recorded. Miller and another supervisor talked to Grayson about everything. The chase. The complaints. The lies. The problems. And then Miller asked a question. A simple question. But a devastating one. How are you still employed with us? Think about that. A supervisor. Looking at an officer who'd been there less than 6 months. Who already had multiple problems. And asking, how are you still here? Why haven't we fired you? Miller told Grayson something else. Something shocking. They'd heard about issues from his previous departments. About bad arrests. About integrity questions. Other agencies had warned them. Had told Logan County that Grayson was trouble. And Logan County hired him anyway. They didn't fire him. Just recommended training. High-stress decision-making training. Like training could fix lying. Could fix abuse of power. Could fix whatever was broken inside Sean Grayson. He stayed at Logan County for 11 months total. Then May 2023, he was gone again. Moving on. To his 6th law enforcement agency in 4 years. Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. 6 departments. For years. 2 DUIs. Military discharge. false arrest, high-speed chase violations, multiple complaints, lies on official reports, supervisors asking how he's still employed. And yet Sean Grayson kept getting hired, kept moving, kept getting badges, kept getting guns, kept getting chances. This is what they call a wandering officer. A cop with problems who just moves from town to town, department to department. Every time something goes wrong, they just leave, start over somewhere else. And the system lets them, because departments don't communicate, don't share information, don't dig deep enough. Sangamon County Sheriff Jack Campbell hired Sean Grayson in May 2023. Campbell knew about the DUIs, admitted it later, said he knew, said DUIs don't disqualify someone, said people can change, can improve. Campbell believed in second chances. But did he know about the rest? The complaints? The lies? The pattern? Did he call Logan County? Did he talk to the supervisors? Did he ask why Grayson had worked 6 agencies in 4 years? Or did he just need someone to fill a uniform? Someone to work shifts? Someone to answer calls? It doesn't matter now, because Sangamon County gave Sean Grayson a badge, a gun, authority, and on July 6, 2024, they sent him to Sonya Massey's house, where he threatened to shoot her in the face. And that threat? Those words? Grayson was about to make them real. Before we continue, like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. What happened in Sonya Massey's house will shake you. I swear to God, I'll shoot you in your fucking face. Those words hung in the air. Deputy Sean Grayson, gun hand twitching, voice aggressive, threatening a woman in her own kitchen. Sonya Massey stood there, holding a pot of boiling water. She just said 5 words. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Prayer. Nothing threatening, just words. But Grayson saw it differently, saw it as a threat. And what happened next happened fast. In seconds, that would end Sonya Massey's life. The body camera footage captures everything. Deputy Dawson Farley's camera. Grayson's partner. The footage is clear. The audio is clear. This is exactly what happened. Sonya heard the threat. She panicked, started to duck behind the counter, the kitchen island between her and the deputies. She still had the pot in her hands, but she wasn't raising it, wasn't throwing it. I'm sorry, Sonya said, her voice shaky, scared. I'm sorry. She was apologizing, trying to de-escalate. She ducked lower, raised her hands, put them up, universal sign of surrender. But Grayson had already made his decision. His gun was out, and pointed at a woman who was apologizing, who had her hands up, who was hiding behind a counter. And then Grayson fired. 3 shots. Bang, bang, bang. 1 shot missed, hit the cabinet. Another missed, hit the wall. But the 3rd shot didn't miss. The 3rd shot hit Sonya Massey directly in the face. Just like Grayson threatened. He shot her in her fucking face. Sonya dropped, instantly, fell to the kitchen floor. The pot fell with her, spilled everywhere. Hot water spreading across the floor, mixing with blood. She was down, not moving, not responding. Shots fired. Shots fired. Deputy Farley grabbed his radio. Panicked. We need an ambulance. Female with a gunshot wound to the head. Farley started moving toward Sonya, to help her, to render aid, to try to save her life. That's what you're supposed to do. You help them. You try to save them. But Grayson stopped him. She's done, Grayson said. Cold. Matter of fact. You can go get it, but that's a headshot. She's done. Grayson just shot a woman in the face. And his immediate reaction wasn't to help her. It was to declare her dead. Like she was nothing. But Farley didn't listen. He moved toward Sonya, looked over the counter, saw her on the floor. Blood. So much blood. Coming from her face. Pooling on the kitchen floor. Sonya was still breathing. Barely. Gasping. But alive. Farley grabbed dish towels. Pressed them against Sonya's head. Trying to stop the bleeding. Stay with me, Farley said. Help is coming. Grayson stood there, watching, not helping. Finally, he walked away, went to get his medical kit, his trauma bag, equipment designed to save lives. He came back, saw Farley still trying to stop the bleeding, and Grayson looked at the scene, looked at Sonya, looked at all the blood, and he made a decision. I'm not even gonna waste my med stuff then. Word for word, captured on body camera. He threw his medical kit on the floor, didn't open it, didn't use it, just threw it down, because Sonya Massey wasn't worth saving. Farley kept working, kept applying pressure, kept trying. But the wound was catastrophic. The bullet had destroyed bone, destroyed tissue. Sonya was dying, right there on her kitchen floor. In her own home, the ambulance arrived. Paramedics rushed in, took over, started emergency procedures. For lines, oxygen, bandages. They loaded Sonya onto a stretcher, rushed her out, lights flashing, sirens blaring, racing to St. John's Hospital. At the hospital, doctors worked on Sonya, tried everything, surgery, transfusions, every procedure available. But the damage was too severe, too much trauma, too much blood loss. The doctors had to make the call. Sonya Massey was dead, 36 years old, mother of 2, shot in her own kitchen by a deputy who came to protect her. Back at Sonya's house, crime scene tape went up. Detectives arrived. Photographers, evidence techs. The kitchen became a crime scene. Blood on the floor, water everywhere, bullet holes in the cabinets. Physical evidence of what happened. Deputy Grayson was taken to the station. He'd have to give a statement, explain what happened, justify shooting an unarmed woman. The Sangamon County Sheriff's Office issued a statement. Brief, vague. A deputy-involved shooting occurred. 1 female subject deceased. The incident is under investigation. Nothing to see here. But Sonya's family knew something was wrong. They'd gotten the call. The worst call. Your daughter is dead. They rushed to the hospital. Demanded answers. How did a prowler call end with Sonya dead? The initial story didn't make sense. Deputies responded. A woman had boiling water. She threatened them. They feared for their lives. Shots were fired. That's the story. But it didn't add up. Sonya called for help. Deputies came. And then she's dead? Over a pot of water? The family wanted the truth. But the sheriff's office wasn't talking. Investigation ongoing. Days passed. No answers. Sonya's mother Donna had to plan a funeral. Had to bury her child. The same woman who'd called 911 the day before begging them not to hurt her daughter. The community started asking questions. Who shot Sonya? Why? Where's the body camera footage? Protests started. Outside the Sangamon County building. Justice for Sonya. Release the footage. July 17, 2024. 11 days after the shooting. A grand jury convened. Reviewed the evidence. Watched the body camera footage. And made a decision. They indicted Sean Grayson. 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of aggravated battery with a firearm, 1 count of official misconduct. First-degree murder, the most serious charge. This wasn't an accident. This was murder, intentional, unjustified, criminal. Grayson was arrested. Sheriff Jack Campbell announced Grayson had been terminated, fired, and the body camera footage, it would be released. July 22, 2024. The world would see what really happened, would see exactly how Sonya Massey died. The nation would be horrified. July 22, 2024. The footage was about to be released. The body camera video from Deputy Dawson Farley. Every news station was ready. Every website prepared. Social media waiting. The nation was about to see exactly what happened inside Sonya Massey's kitchen. Sonya's family saw it first. Before the public. Before the media. They sat in a room with their attorneys. Ben Crump and Antonio Romanucci, civil rights lawyers, known for representing families of police violence victims. The attorneys warned them, this will be hard to watch. This will be painful. Are you ready? They weren't ready. No one could be ready. But they watched anyway, because they needed to know, needed to see, needed to understand what happened to their daughter, their mother, their family member. The video started. Deputy Farley's body camera, arriving at Sonya's house, checking the perimeter, finding nothing, knocking on the door, Sonya opening it, looking relieved, the deputies telling her everything was clear. She was safe. This should have been the end. But the deputies came inside. The family watched Sonya looking for her ID, watched the deputies notice the pot on the stove, watched Sonya go to move it. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening, just a woman moving a pot in her own kitchen. Then they heard it. Sonya saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And Grayson's response, "I swear to God, I'll shoot you in your fucking face." The family gasped. Some started crying. How does a prayer become a death threat? They watched Sonya panic, watched her apologize, watched her duck, watched her raise her hands. I'm sorry. And then the shots. Bang, bang, bang. Sonya falling. Blood everywhere. The family couldn't watch anymore. Some left the room. Some screamed. The lawyers paused the video. But there was more. They had to see the rest. The video resumed. Grayson saying she's done. That's a headshot. Farley trying to help. Grayson getting his medical kit. Then saying he wouldn't waste his supplies. Throwing the kit down. Letting Sonya die. The family was devastated. Broken. Angry. That same day, the footage was released to the public. Posted online. Played on news stations. Shared across social media. Millions of people watched. And millions were horrified. The video was worse than anyone imagined. More brutal. More senseless. The reaction was immediate. Outrage everywhere. How does a woman call for help and end up dead? How does saying, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus" justify murder? Social media exploded. Hashtag justice for Sonya. Hashtag say her name. Celebrities posted. Athletes posted. Politicians posted. Civil rights leaders spoke out. Reverend Al Sharpton. This is unconscionable. This is murder. Ben Crump. Sonya Massey deserved to be safe in her own home. She called for help, and help killed her. The NAACP released a statement. Another black woman killed by police in her own home. When will this end? Protests erupted. In Springfield, in Chicago, in cities across America, people marching, holding signs, chanting Sonya's name, demanding justice. The footage had shown the world what happened. There was no debate. Grayson murdered Sonya Massey. Everyone knew it. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker released a statement. "I am enraged that another innocent black woman had her life taken from her at the hands of a police officer. Sonya Massey called the police for help. She deserved to be safe. I call on Sheriff Jack Campbell to resign immediately." The pressure on Sheriff Campbell was immense. He'd hired Grayson, knew about the DUIs, should have known better. On August 31st, 2024, Campbell announced his retirement. Effective immediately. Time to step aside. He was gone. Replaced by Paula Crouch, a former detective. She promised reforms. Promised better hiring practices. Promised this would never happen again. But Sonya was dead. No amount of promises would bring her back. The legal process moved forward. Grayson was held without bail. Too dangerous to release. His lawyers argued for bond. The judge said no. Not for murder. Grayson would stay in jail. His lawyers appealed to the Illinois Supreme Court. The Supreme Court rejected it. Grayson would remain behind bars. Meanwhile, Sonya's family filed a civil lawsuit against Sangamon County, against the sheriff's office, against everyone responsible. They wanted accountability. The lawsuit detailed everything. Grayson's history, the hiring failures, the system that allowed a dangerous man to carry a badge. Months passed. Negotiations happened. And on February 12, 2025, Sonya's birthday, a settlement was reached. $10 million. The largest settlement in Sangamon County history. 50% of the sheriff's office's annual budget. Ben Crump spoke at a press conference. This settlement is significant, but it's only the first step. We want civil accountability. We want criminal culpability. We want legislative changes. Money doesn't bring Sonya back, but it sends a message. Sonya's father, James Wilburn, spoke too. I think Sean Grayson should have never been hired. Sangamon County is responsible for my daughter's death. They knew who he was. They knew what he'd done. And they gave him a badge anyway. The settlement money would go to Sonya's estate, to her children, to her family. But money can't replace a mother. Can't replace Sonya. The criminal case moved forward. Grayson's trial date was set. October 2025. He'd face a jury. His lawyers prepared his defense. Self-defense. Fear for his life. The pot of boiling water was a weapon. Sonya was a threat. That would be their argument. But the prosecution had something stronger. They had the video, the body camera footage, the evidence that showed everything. Showed Sonya apologizing. Showed her hands up. Showed her doing nothing threatening. The jury would see it. And the prosecution was confident. This was murder. Before the trial, the U.S. Department of Justice got involved. Opened an investigation into the Sangamon County Sheriff's Office. Into their hiring practices. Into their training. They wanted to know how this happened. The DOJ reached an agreement with Sangamon County, requiring reforms, more training, updated policies, better oversight, changes designed to prevent another Sonya Massey. But for Sonya's family, none of it mattered. Not the settlement, not the reforms, because Sonya was still gone, still dead, still buried. The body camera showed the world what happened, but it couldn't bring her back. The trial was coming, the day of reckoning, the moment when Sean Grayson would face a jury of his peers, would face the evidence, would face the family of the woman he killed. Would Sonya Massey finally get justice? The world was watching. Before we continue, like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime cases. Sean Grayson should never have been a police officer. Everyone knew it. His supervisors knew it. His previous employers knew it. The evidence was everywhere. 2 DUIs, military discharge for misconduct, 6 departments in 4 years, complaints, lies, policy violations, red flags everywhere. So how did Sangamon County hire him? How did Sheriff Jack Campbell give this man a badge and a gun? The answer is simple and terrifying, because Sangamon County didn't just overlook Grayson's past. They knew about it and hired him anyway. Sheriff Jack Campbell admitted it later, after Sonya was dead, after the protests, after the outrage. He admitted he knew about Grayson's DUI convictions. Both of them. Knew when he hired him. Made the decision with full knowledge. Campbell defended his choice. Said DUIs aren't disqualifying under Illinois law. Said people make mistakes. Said people can change. Said everyone deserves a second chance. Said Grayson had been working in law enforcement for years. Had experience. Had training. Had references. But here's what Campbell didn't say. Didn't mention. Didn't acknowledge. He didn't know about everything else. The complaints. The false arrest. The high-speed chase. The lies on reports. The supervisor asking, "How are you still employed?" All of that was out there. Documented. Available. If only someone had looked. But Campbell didn't look. Didn't dig deep. Didn't call Logan County. Didn't talk to the supervisors. Didn't ask the hard questions. Why? Because Grayson was a lateral hire, which means he already worked in law enforcement, already had certification, already passed the tests. And under Illinois law, lateral hires don't require the same scrutiny as new recruits. Here's how it works. If you're hiring someone brand new to law enforcement, they have to go through the Merit Commission, a board, an interview process, background checks, references, evaluation, oversight. But if you're hiring someone who's already a cop, someone who's already working somewhere else, you can bypass all that. The sheriff can just hire them. No board, no commission, no oversight. It's called the lateral hire loophole. And it's how bad cops keep moving, keep getting jobs, keep getting chances, because departments don't talk to each other, don't share information, don't warn each other. An officer leaves one department, applies to another, gets hired. No questions asked. No digging required. Sangamon County wasn't the only one doing this. Campbell had hired other problematic officers the same way. In April 2024, just months before Sonya died, Campbell hired Luke Hildebrand, 23 years old. Weeks earlier, Hildebrand had pleaded guilty to DUI after a single car crash, where he was trapped inside, where police found a loaded Glock in the vehicle, where his blood alcohol level was .284, 3 times the legal limit. Campbell hired him anyway, lateral hire, no merit commission review, just hired him, put him in a uniform, gave him a gun, because the system allowed it. This wasn't just a Sangamon County problem. This was an Illinois problem, a nationwide problem. The system is designed to let bad cops keep working, keep moving, keep carrying badges, because the requirements are minimal. Be over 21, pass a written test, have no felony convictions. That's it. DUIs are misdemeanors, not disqualifying. Military discharge? Not mentioned in the law. Complaints from previous departments? Not required to disclose. And even if departments wanted to dig deeper, they often can't. Because there's no national database, no centralized system, no way to track officers as they move from state to state, department to department. An officer gets fired in one state, moves to another state, applies for a job, and the new department has no idea, no way to know, no way to find out. After Sonya's death, reporters started investigating, started digging into Grayson's past, started calling his former employers, started requesting records, and they found everything. The complaints, the chase, the false arrest, the warnings, everything Campbell should have found, would have found, if he'd just looked. Logan County Chief Deputy Nathan Miller was contacted, asked about Grayson, asked what he told Sangamon County when they called for a reference. Miller's response was telling. He said Logan County provided information, answered questions, but he didn't say what questions were asked, didn't say how deep the conversation went, didn't say if Campbell ever called at all. Some of Grayson's other former employers were contacted too. Pawnee, Kincaid, Verdon, Auburn. Most said they had no written complaints on file, no disciplinary records, nothing to report. But absence of documentation doesn't mean absence of problems. It just means nobody wrote it down. Nobody filed a report. Nobody created a paper trail. This is the system. This is how it works. Or doesn't work. Officers move. Departments don't communicate. Problems get buried, hidden, forgotten, until someone dies, until a Sonya Massey happens, until it's too late. After Sonya's death, Illinois lawmakers decided to act, to change things, to fix the system. In May 2025, the Illinois House passed House Bill 1953, also called Sonya Massey's Bill. The law requires more thorough background checks before police officers are hired, requires that misconduct records be disclosed, without redaction, makes it easier for counties to create police merit boards, boards that provide oversight, that review hiring and firing decisions. Governor Pritzker signed it into law, said it was necessary, said it was overdue, said Sonya Massey's death should never have happened, should have been prevented, would have been prevented if the system worked. But the law came too late for Sonya, too late to save her, too late to stop Grayson, because Grayson was already hired, already working, already carrying a gun, already responding to calls, already in position to kill. Sangamon County also made changes. The new sheriff, Paula Crouch, announced reforms. She would personally file records requests to obtain information from applicants' previous employers. She would mandate in-person visits, when possible, to talk to supervisors, to get the real story, to find out what's not in the files. It was a start, a step, An acknowledgement that the system failed, that Campbell failed, that Sangamon County failed. But would it be enough? Would it actually prevent another Sean Grayson? Another wandering officer? Another hiring failure? The bigger question remained. How many other Sean Graysons are out there? How many other officers with problematic pasts? With red flags? With warnings? Working right now? Carrying badges? Carrying guns? Responding to calls? One bad decision away from another tragedy. Because Grayson wasn't unique, wasn't an outlier, wasn't some rare exception. He was the product of a broken system. A system that values filling positions over protecting communities. That values giving second chances over demanding accountability. That values moving problems along over actually solving them. And now Sean Grayson was going to trial, would face a jury, would answer for what he did. But the system that enabled him, the system that hired him, the system that gave him chance after chance after chance, that system was still in place, still operating, still hiring, still failing. October 22nd, 2025, Peoria, Illinois, not Springfield. The trial had been moved. Too much publicity, too much emotion. The defense argued they couldn't get a fair trial in Sangamon County. Everyone knew the case. Everyone had seen the video. The judge agreed. Moved the trial an hour north to Peoria. Jury selection began. A pool of about 90 people. Attorneys asking questions. Probing. Trying to find 12 people who could be fair. Who could be impartial. Have you seen the body camera footage? Do you have relationships with police officers? What are your views on Black Lives Matter? Can you be fair? By the end, 12 jurors were selected. 9 women, 3 men. Only one was black. They would decide Sean Grayson's fate. They held Sonya Massey's justice in their hands. The charges were clear. 3 counts of first-degree murder. 1 count of aggravated battery with a firearm. 1 count of official misconduct. If convicted of first-degree murder, Grayson faced 45 years to life in prison. But the jury would also have options. Lesser charges. Second-degree murder. Involuntary manslaughter. Opening statements began. Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan went first. He told the jury what happened that night. How Sonya called for help. How deputies arrived. How everything was fine. Until it wasn't. He described the kitchen. The pot. The words. The threat. The shooting. Sonya Massey was in her own home, Brennan said. She called for help. She moved a pot of water. She said a prayer. And Deputy Grayson shot her in the face. This was not justified. This was murder. Then came the defense. Daniel Fultz, Grayson's attorney. He told a different story. A story of fear, of danger, of split-second decisions. He said Sonya was acting erratically. Said the pot of boiling water was a weapon. Said Grayson feared for his life. What happened to Sonya Massey is a tragedy, Fultz said. But it's not a crime. Deputy Grayson believed his life was in danger. He acted to protect himself. That's not murder. That's self-defense. The trial began. Witnesses were called, one by one, building the case. The prosecution called 14 witnesses, store employees, first responders, medical examiners who described Sonya's wounds, the bullet entering her face, destroying her skull, causing catastrophic damage. But the most important witness was Deputy Dawson Farley, Grayson's partner, the other deputy in the kitchen, the one whose body camera captured everything. Farley testified for the prosecution against his former partner. Farley was asked directly, "Did you feel threatened by Sonya Massey?" His answer was clear. "No. She never did anything that made me think she was a threat." He said he didn't draw his weapon, didn't feel endangered, didn't expect Grayson to shoot. The defense tried to poke holes, suggested Farley was lying, changing his story after Grayson was charged. But the prosecution had more. They called expert witnesses, use of force experts, police policy experts. Seth Stoughton testified, a professor, an expert in policing. He'd testified in other high-profile cases. Derek Chauvin, George Floyd, Adam Coy. He analyzed what happened in Sonya's kitchen. His conclusion was damning. Officer Grayson created the danger, Stoughton said. He escalated the situation. He positioned himself in a way that made him feel threatened, then used that manufactured fear to justify deadly force. This was unreasonable, unjustified. Stoughton explained that officers are trained to de-escalate, to create distance. Grayson did the opposite, stood his ground, escalated his language, threatened Sonya, created a situation where he could claim fear. The defense had their own expert, Kevin Davis. He argued the opposite, said Grayson was justified, said the pot of boiling water was a deadly weapon, said Sonya's actions created the threat. When someone has a pot of boiling water and makes threatening statements, that's a deadly threat, Davis testified. Officer Grayson perceived danger. He acted to stop that danger. The prosecution also called a biomechanics expert, someone who analyzed Sonya's movements. The expert testified that Sonya was ducking, moving away, not advancing, not attacking. She was retreating, surrendering, complying. The body camera video was played multiple times. For the jury, everyone saw it. The full interaction. From the moment deputies arrived to the moment Sonya was shot. The jury watched Sonya open the door, watched her thank the deputies, watched her let them inside, watched her move the pot, watched her say, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," watched her panic when Grayson threatened her, watched her apologize, watched her duck, watched her raise her hands, and watched Grayson fire. Some jurors cried, wiped their eyes. The video was painful, brutal, undeniable. This was murder, captured on camera. But there was one witness the jury never heard from. Sean Grayson himself. He didn't testify, didn't take the stand. The defense chose not to call him. Too risky, too many questions. Instead, they submitted a written statement, read into the record by an investigator. In the statement, Grayson claimed he feared for his life, said Sonya was going to throw the boiling water on him, said her words felt like a threat, said he believed she was dangerous, said he had no choice but to shoot. The prosecution wanted to question him, wanted to challenge him, wanted to ask why he didn't step back, why he threatened her first, why he didn't render aid, why he threw his medical kit on the floor. But they couldn't, because Grayson never took the stand. After 6 days of testimony, both sides rested. The evidence was in. The witnesses had spoken. Now came closing arguments, the final chance to persuade, to convince, to win. Before we continue, like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime cases. November 19th, 2025. Closing arguments began. The final speeches. The last chance for both sides to make their case. To convince the jury. To win justice. Or win freedom. Prosecutor Mary Beth Rogers went first. She stood before the jury, looked them in the eyes, and told them what this case was really about. Not about police procedures, not about split-second decisions, but about a man who let his emotions control him, who escalated a calm situation, who created danger where none existed. Sean Grayson is a liar, Rogers said. He lied in his reports before. He's lying now. He wants you to believe he was scared. But you don't have to believe that, because it's not true. She pointed to the inconsistencies between what Grayson claimed and what the video showed, between his written statement and the actual evidence. Sonya Massey's final words before being shot were, "I'm sorry," Rogers said. Her hands were up. She was ducking behind a counter. She was apologizing. Does that sound like someone attacking? Does that sound like a threat? Rogers reminded the jury of what happened after. How Grayson said Sonya was done. How he refused to help. How he threw his medical kit on the floor. If he truly feared for his life, why didn't he render aid? Why did he say she wasn't worth his medical supplies? Because he knew what he did. He knew it was wrong. Then came the defense. Daniel Foltz stood up, looked at the jury, and made a different appeal. An appeal to understand the impossible position officers face. The split-second decisions. The life-or-death choices. What happened to Sonya Massey is a tragedy, Foltz said. As hard as that is to hear and accept, the outcome was driven by Sonya Massey's actions. He argued that when Massey said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," Grayson believed it was a threat, and the jury didn't have to agree with Grayson, but they had to understand his perspective in that moment. You can't sit back 15 months later and say, "This is what I would have done," Foltz told the jury. You have to put yourself in that moment, in that kitchen, with a woman holding boiling water, who just said something you perceived as threatening. What would you do? Foltz pointed to the defense expert's testimony. Kevin Davis had said the shooting was justified, that Grayson acted reasonably, that the threat was real. The thing you cannot do is let your emotions dictate the outcome of this case, Foltz said. But prosecutor John Milhiser had the final word, the rebuttal, and he used it powerfully. He held up the pot, the actual pot from Sonya's kitchen, showed it to the jury. This is what Sonya Massey was holding, he said. This is what Sean Grayson claimed was a deadly weapon. Then Milhiser held up Grayson's medical kit, opened it, showed the supplies inside, bandages, gauze, equipment that could have saved Sonya's life. If he had used these supplies sooner, she might have survived, Milhiser said. But he didn't. He threw them on the floor. He said she wasn't worth it. Milhiser addressed the defense's instruction not to let emotions control the verdict. That's what happened, he said. The defendant let his emotions dictate the outcome of what happened in Sonya Massey's kitchen. This is not reasonable self-defense. Sean Grayson's actions are so out of bounds. Sonya Massey is dead because of Sean Grayson's actions. The closing arguments ended. The judge gave instructions to the jury, explained the law, explained the charges, explained what they had to decide. Then the jury left, went to the deliberation room, to discuss, to debate, to decide. The wait began. Sonya's family sat in the courtroom, waiting, praying, hoping for justice. Grayson sat at the defense table, waiting, hoping for acquittal, hoping to go home. The jury deliberated for hours, into the evening, then went home for the night, came back the next day, November 20th. Deliberated more, asked to review evidence, asked to see the body camera footage again. Side by side, Grayson's camera and Farley's camera, comparing, analyzing, looking for truth. They had questions about the law, about self-defense, about when force is justified. The judge provided answers, clarifications, then sent them back to deliberate more. Hours passed. Then a problem. One juror fell ill, couldn't continue, had to be replaced with an alternate, which meant the deliberations had to start over. From the beginning, the new juror needed to hear everything, discuss everything, consider everything. The jury deliberated again, another 5 hours. Then finally, on October 29, 2025, they reached a decision. A verdict. They sent word to the judge. The judge called everyone back to the courtroom. Sonya's family rushed in, took their seats, held hands, held each other. Grayson was brought in, sat at the defense table, expressionless, waiting. The courtroom was packed. Media, supporters, community members, everyone wanted to be there, to hear the verdict, to witness justice, or injustice. The judge asked if the jury had reached a verdict. The foreperson stood, said yes. The clerk took the verdict forms, handed them to the judge. The judge reviewed them, no expression, no indication, then handed them back to the clerk to read aloud. The clerk stood. In the matter of the state of Illinois versus Sean Patrick Grayson, on the charge of first-degree murder, we the jury find the defendant. Everyone held their breath. Sonya's family gripped each other tighter. Not guilty. Gasps. Confusion. The family's faces fell. Not guilty of first-degree murder? The clerk continued. On the charge of second-degree murder, we the jury find the defendant guilty. Relief. Tears. Sonya's family cried. Not first degree, but guilty. Guilty of something. Guilty of killing Sonya. The clerk continued reading. Not guilty of aggravated battery. Guilty of official misconduct. But the main charge, second-degree murder. Guilty. Grayson showed no emotion, sat still, stared ahead. His family in the courtroom cried, held hands. But Sonya's family felt something different. Mixed emotions. Relief that he was convicted. Anger that it wasn't first degree. Grief that Sonya was still gone. Outside the courthouse, Sonya's father James Wilburn spoke to reporters. There's no doubt in my mind that Sean Grayson committed first-degree murder, he said. I'm sure there's no doubt in Sean Grayson's mind. But his attorneys were skillful enough. Ben Crump released a statement. While we believe Grayson's actions deserved a first-degree conviction, today's verdict is still a measure of justice for Sonya Massey. Accountability has begun. Second-degree murder. What did that mean? In Illinois, it means the jury believed Grayson acted with intent to kill, but believed he faced serious provocation, or believed he thought his actions were justified, even if that belief was unreasonable. It's a lesser charge than first degree, with a lesser sentence. Grayson faced 4 to 20 years in prison, with possibility of day-for-day credit for good behavior, which meant he could serve as little as 2 years, or he could get the maximum, 20 years, or the judge could even give him probation, no prison time at all. Sentencing was scheduled for January 29, 2026. Until then, Grayson would remain in jail. But the question remained, would justice truly be served? October 29, 2025. Sean Grayson was convicted of second-degree murder. Guilty. But the fight wasn't over. Because a conviction without a meaningful sentence means nothing. Sonya's family knew that. Civil rights leaders knew that. The community knew that. So now everyone waited. Waited for January 29, 2026. Sentencing day. The day a judge would decide how long Grayson would spend in prison. Or if he'd go to prison at all. Because under Illinois law, second-degree murder carries a sentence of 4 to 20 years. But the judge has discretion. Complete discretion. He could give Grayson 20 years. The maximum. Or he could give him 4 years. The minimum. Or he could give him probation. No prison time at all. Just supervision. Just check-ins. Just walking free. That terrified Sonya's family. The thought that Grayson might walk. Might serve minimal time. Might get a slap on the wrist for killing their daughter. Their mother. Their sister. So they prepared. Prepared to speak at sentencing. Prepared to tell the judge what Sonya meant to them. What her loss had cost them. What justice should look like. But the impact of Sonya's death went beyond one courtroom, beyond one sentence, beyond one man, because Sonya Massey's name had joined a list no one wants to be on, a list of black women killed by police in their own homes. Breonna Taylor, Louisville, Kentucky, March 2020, police executing a no-knock warrant. Wrong apartment, Breonna asleep in her bed. Boyfriend thought they were intruders. Fired 1 shot. Police fired 32 shots. 6 hit Breonna. She died in the hallway, in her own home, where she should have been safe. Tashiana Jefferson, Fort Worth, Texas. October 2019. A neighbor called police. Said Tashiana's front door was open. Worried about her. Police arrived. Didn't announce themselves. Walked around the house. Tashiana heard noises. Grabbed her gun. Looked out the window. Officer saw her. Shouted, "Put your hands up." Then fired. Through the window. Killed her in her own home. In front of her 8-year-old nephew. And now Sonya Massey. Springfield, Illinois. July 2024. Called 911 for help. Let deputies inside. Moved a pot of water. Said a prayer. Was shot in the face. In her own kitchen. In her own home. Where she should have been safe. 3 women. 3 homes. 3 senseless deaths. All at the hands of police. all killed where they should have been safest. The pattern was undeniable. The problem was systemic. And Sonya's death forced people to confront it, to acknowledge it, to demand change. Illinois lawmakers acted, passed the Sonya Massey Act, signed into law by Governor Pritzker in August 2024. The law requires stricter background checks for police applicants, requires misconduct records to be disclosed, without redaction, makes it easier for counties to create police oversight boards. It's a start, a first step, but just a start, because laws don't change culture. Laws don't change the way officers are trained, the way they think, the way they react. Laws don't prevent another Sean Grayson from putting on a badge, from carrying a gun, from responding to calls, unless the culture changes, unless departments change, unless the entire system changes. Sangamon County made changes too. Sheriff Paula Crouch implemented new policies, mandatory in-person visits to previous employers, detailed background investigations, better training, more oversight. She promised it would be different, promised no more hiring failures, promised no more Sean Graysons. But promises are easy, implementation is hard, and only time would tell if the changes were real, if they were meaningful, if they would actually prevent another tragedy. The Department of Justice stayed involved. Their agreement with Sangamon County required ongoing reforms, more training on mental health crisis response, updated use of force policies, non-discriminatory policing practices, better data collection, regular reporting, accountability. But here's the question no one could answer. Would any of it have saved Sonya Massey? If these policies had been in place, if these reforms had existed, would Sonya still be alive? Or would she still be dead? Because the problem wasn't just policies. The problem was Sean Grayson, a man who should never have been a cop, a man who was given chance after chance, a man who was protected by a system designed to protect officers, not communities. And that's the real legacy of Sonya Massey's death. The exposure of that system. The revelation that the system values officers over citizens, values protecting badges over protecting lives, values second chances for cops over safety for communities. Sonya's family filed their civil lawsuit, won their $10 million settlement, the largest in Sangamon County history. But money doesn't bring back a mother. Money doesn't heal the trauma. Money doesn't fill the void. Sonya's children grew up without their mother. Her family grieved a preventable loss, and money couldn't fix any of that. Sheriff Jack Campbell retired, forced out by pressure, by outrage, by the undeniable fact that he hired Sean Grayson, knew about the DUIs, should have known about the rest, should have dug deeper, should have protected his community, but he didn't, and Sonya paid the price. The body camera footage remained online, viewed millions of times, a permanent record of what happened, of how a woman called for help and was killed by the person sent to save her. It's painful to watch, brutal to witness, but necessary to see, because without that video, would Grayson have been charged? Would he have been convicted? Would anyone have believed what really happened? That's another part of Sonya's legacy. The undeniable proof that body cameras matter, that transparency matters, that documentation matters. Because without that footage, this might have been another case of police claiming justification, claiming fear, claiming self-defense, and being believed, being protected, being excused. But the footage showed the truth, showed Sonya apologizing, showed her hands up, showed her doing nothing threatening, and the jury saw it. The world saw it, and Sean Grayson was convicted, not of first-degree murder, but convicted nonetheless. January 29th, 2026 is coming. Sentencing day. The day Sonya's family will face Grayson again, will speak their truth, will demand justice, will ask the judge to give the maximum sentence. 20 years. Make Grayson serve real time, real consequences, real accountability. But whatever sentence Grayson receives, it won't bring Sonya back, won't undo the trauma, won't heal the pain, because Sonya Massey is gone, forever. That's the tragedy. That's the failure. That's the legacy. A woman called 911, asked for help, trusted the system, let the deputies inside, and was killed for it. Killed for moving a pot. Killed for saying a prayer. Killed for existing while black, while mentally ill, while vulnerable, while needing help. Sonya Massey deserved better. Deserved to be safe. Deserved to be protected. Deserved to live. But the system failed her. And now her name joins the list. The list we keep saying will never grow, but keeps growing anyway. The list of black women, killed by police, in their own homes, for no reason. Say her name, Sonya Massey. Remember what happened, and demand that it never happens again. Sean Grayson will be sentenced on January 29th, 2026 for murdering Sonya Massey. Like, share, subscribe, and turn on notification to remember Sonya and demand better protection for those who call for help. Stay safe, stay aware, and I'll see you in my next case.